I just sent another email. I thought about making a video, but I didn't stick to the formula, and I didn't want to wait 30 minutes or however long to make the video and upload it. So I just sent it, but I don't know, I don't know. I always send it to everyone's agent that I have access to. I don't have Brittany, whatever her name is, with Wasserman, with Sydney Sweeney. But I have UTA, what the internet reads, which is not what it read that long ago. Which maybe means something, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. Right? Like, oh, we all, like, gangbang them, like, in the agency, too? Is that, like, there it is. There's the deepest psychological truth, isn't it? That their agency doesn't really care about them, right? That they're all subjected to this disgusting dominion, which is Quentin's acts of intention upon them as a psychic. Right? And so, I see it, I do see it, that, I'm just gonna, stay on this crusade. I get in touch with women's rights groups, because I feel like that's, how I stay on it. And clear the palette of my mind, I feel like that's an honest psychic answer, right? Where he, right, is a full arrogant ass and does nothing but do everything he can to prevent me from arriving, right? That's he can do that. He can exercise his money, right? He can tell all these publications, right? You can't give him, right? I'm gonna sue you if you, he can, right? But can he really sue every newspaper in the world if they all say, I actually think this guy's got the best critical argument, yeah, he's our representative? Is that right? I'm pretty sure that's kind of what we're staring down the barrel of, right? Universal adulation or, right, complete ruin. There's no middle ground there if this film is deeply sadistic and sexual and has bondage and pornographic scenes in it. Right? And this is something that I was just thinking about, that if the movie critic was always about tying up and fucking these women, because that's what he does in his life, then, of course I was never going to see that when he announced that it was Brad Pitt, because that's just an old man telling another old man to fuck these hot women. That's not hot at all. Right? And so this is, again, this is where the women were at, which I couldn't see, because I hate the fact that I'm a golden god fantasy, right? Because I'm like Quentin, I have this vow, I have this understanding, But they saw my material and were like, fucking cool, man. Yeah, a real writer. He's got so much to say, and he's fine, and now it can be hot, and yeah, that's cool. Right? And I thought that it was a movie about a guy who writes about pornography, that's right? That guy, it's psychology, right? I wrote Quentin because I'm the man that it needs to be that plays the role, but I wrote him because I saw the film for being opposite of what it actually is, right? So this is what the women all saw, that they said, oh, cool, he's, yeah, not thinking about them getting tied up and fucked, what that represents for their psyche, right? Not thinking about that Mikey Madison's going to be scarred up, probably, to justify the burn at the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Not thinking about any of these things, how they see their lives, right? But they did, right? That's the point. That's the point. That they said, oh, if I go oh, cool, hardcore, young, badass psychic daddy, I could go put myself in front of him, and I could spread my legs like I do for Quentin, and then he'll, protect me and justify it. You get what I'm saying right now? That's yeah, that's right? And so that's magic. That's cool magic, for sure. That's pure, right? Because he brought her up that way. You get it? Right? I didn't make her what she is. Right? He made her what she is, right? A woman, who gets fucked by writers. You get it? Right? And so with this one, right? With this, she always felt oh, I'm going really far with this one. I don't know. I don't know, it just seems kind of disgusting to me, and I feel I'm not I'm out of control with regard to this. But then when they saw me, right, both of them, her and Sydney both, seems pretty obvious. And Daniela, obviously she's miserable, I think we can all agree on that too. But they were yeah, cool, right? And so he turned that into this convoluted system of psychic control, that's and so that's, right, that's the psychic perturbation, right? That's the magical, right, pinched artery, right? That's the stroke moment, right? That's the critical moment, right? That that this whole film, right, like is surrounded by insincerity and guile, rooted in satanic money, right, and rooted in, right, like deep psychological horseshit, right, like not truth, not love, not beauty. And then my letters, right, like bam, like illuminated something inside of all of them, right? Because they had never seen anything like justifiable in this film. It was just an exercise in Quentin's control. But in like seeing me and say, oh, he's the movie critic, not a crusty old man, right? Like, oh, this magical, right? You get it? This writer, like, oh, he's another writer. Right? Me thinking it's about a creepy guy who gets no pussy, right? And then all the things that get debased in the movie, they're like, oh yeah, cool, like a wonderful, like awesome hot guy. And like, I can make him say all these nice things about me because like he's a writer too. And like Quentin, right? Quentin like brought me up and like I can be good to him. You know, like, yeah, like that's like, and it upsets me a lot. Like that he's like, no, bleh, goblin, you know, like it's not cool, you know? Right? That she said, bam, I don't have to lie to myself anymore. I do want to do the movie. And it's with this man right here, like no one else. We both want to see him. We want to meet him. Yep. Goblin, blah, control, blah, magic. It's only magic if I control it as a psychic. Blah, blah. And so now he's like standing on the precipice, like of me actually like being in the press, right? Me actually, right? Just completing the full humiliation ritual. And say, I represent the conscience of your mind, the deepest recesses of your parts of you that you wish no one else to understand, right? What justifies you in making a sadistic sexual film like this? What do the women have to say about the set during those days where they made that material? Is it actual penetration that we're watching? Do you deserve an X rating, not an R rating? Right? Like, I'm not talking about what we see on the frames. I'm talking about the psychological truth inside of you. Is this movie a statement about the fact that you hate women and you hate yourself because you can't biologically conceive? Right? Like, that's like, there it is. Right? Because he won't let us, right? That's the full iteration. Right? That's the full iteration of, like, angel and demon. Right? And then on that lower level of, like, love, right? That's me, and that's what I put in the last email. I said, that's me, like, showing all of you. It's not because, right, like I love them. Like, it's not because they get tied up and get stripped naked and fucked, right? That's not, right? I'm the only one who can say that and, like, actually mean it. That's the point. And this is what they saw. You get it? This is what they saw that I couldn't see. And so that's no magic. There's no magic at all. And so I was always sitting, you know, like I'm a sledgehammer. That's like I'm like this blunt, psychic, right? Like radiating hammer of truth, right? Like that's like how I operate, right? And so I only saw that in Quentin. I only saw like what he projected out to me. And now I'm seeing that like all of his behavior is because all of the beautiful things around him were like peeking over the corner and saying, oh, I like him. I'd like to... Right? I want to, like, hang out with him. I want him to, like, make me feel good about this movie, right? That's the point, right? That he can look at me and say, oh, yes, you're so fine. You're so, like, everything. Like, yes, that's why I'm doing it. Not because Quentin's cool. It's because you're fine, right? And I'm fine. And, like, that's why you're doing it. It's not because Quentin's cool. You get it, right? Like, really dense, like, psychological shit here, right? Almost like her father is a PhD in psychology. Very funny. Right? Was Sydney, I don't know, you know, like, it's a fucked up movie. It's obviously a fucked up movie that they could have just went, like, googly-eyed immediately and said, oh, like, yeah, we'll share him. Like, yeah, that's not impossible. I don't expect that. But, like, I'm never going to meet him. But I've been letting them all know, like, it's cool. Like, if they, right, I don't have to sue. I don't have to do that. They can, right? So, anyway. I feel like they're nervous and like maybe they do want to reach out to me. That they are like all the way up to here with it, saying yes, like yes, that's exactly what I thought. You're so fine. Yes, like take care of me. Yeah, that's like, but Quentin, right? It's weird. So my mind is always racing. I'm always afraid that, you know, he's doing the same thing right now. Right, like, oh, like, what is going to be, like, the critical establishment's, like, opinion of this film? Like, I've, like, essentially said that, like, I'm going to war with this man, that that I don't care what he says, that his intellectual light means nothing to me. I can't control him as a psychic, and therefore, right, he is my enemy. That's essentially, like, what he's stating to the industry and to the world. Right? That's, right? And so this is where I'm stubborn. Like I didn't appreciate magic, like all of these things, like real magic, like real magic. I invited this. That's what I'm saying. I do see that, right? And that's not valid intellectually. That's just evil. Just so that like we're all on the same page here. But I did. I said, oh, you can do better. That's right. Like, isn't that like that's kind of what I said? I didn't say, oh, you can do better. Tribeca, 600 people, like, oh, right. But my point is that like he's sick in his mind, right? That he didn't actually like confirm that like he loved me and he wanted to make this about me. He just expected me to divine through schizophrenia, right? That it's all about me. And I don't like that. I don't respect that. That's a foundation of slime, distrust, dishonesty, right? And so now, like, we're coming clean. That's like, right now we're doing it. And I should have been cool. Like magical siege to the death. Like that's like, yeah, like that's like what I was, like, yeah, that's what I did when I turned my back on him. I said, I don't respect your magic. Show me something worth respecting. And he's been doing it. Make no mistake. But it was stupid. It was adolescent and childish. Like, it was naive. It wasn't evil. It was naive. I feel good about saying that. It was just naive and adolescent because, like, I guess, like, in my arrogance, I knew that he would have to speak to me. That's like, right? That this is beyond, like, you went too far, right? You went like, oh, this is still about your ego. I don't accept your control over my mind. No. Like, no. Right? Trust, truth, honesty. Right? I have, like, hardcore psychological complexes, too. Right? And so right? And so my point, right, is that, right, the women all saw the celibacy. That's, like, my sexual magnetism, like, radiating out from my pores. And I said, oh, yes, this is good. Like, yes, he's hot. I'm like, this is awesome. Now it's like, now it can be sexy, right? Right? But that's, like, right? They felt safe, because they knew, right? They felt like in their spiritual center, right? That it is about writing. It's not about violating them sexually, and that excited them sexually. Right? That's the point. Right? And so all the magic got swallowed up into him when he refused to let them speak to me. Right? Because he was jealous. That's like, it's that simple, like that's, and I'm not going to say I don't get it. I'm not going to say I don't get it. Like, I'm not going to act like, I started acting because of like the energy, like I'm just like constantly like the brightest light like in the room, and I know that he knew that, and he was showing me that, right, that I scorched him. That's he probably does say something to that effect, But I forgot where I was going with that. Beyond that, like they trusted that they saw like that, oh, that it's like a real statement about like writing, about like the intellect, right? And that's what I said yesterday, he needed to know his secrets were safe, and they are, but they're not. No, I keep no secrets. Right? Wisdom is wasted on the unwise. And in that way, I was unwise, because he was showing me, right? But really, he was showing me that esotericism is cool, and I know that, but at some point it stops being cool. That's the point. Right? That the women, right, that they couldn't, right, that he tortured me for all this time, right, that he's still like maintaining this thing, right, because they didn't want to do the movie anymore. That's the point. That they followed their heart, right, and because he made it about his mind, right, that they still said, no, my heart, like my soul, like I don't care about your mind anymore, Quentin, It's really sad. Because I didn't get to speak to him, right? Like, so, in the beginning it was perhaps adolescent rebellion on some level, but now it is political stratagems, soulless intellectual calculation, So, I stay on it. I don't know. I want so badly to be in love. I want so badly to, to know that all of that evil, like, was just something, I'm sick of saying I regret it. You know, I'm sick of saying like, oh, I'm sorry I don't respect a sorcerer. You know, it's not cool to manipulate people, right? With occultism, that's not cool at all, right? That in fact that represents like a sickness within someone to feel they have to communicate with you in this way. And of course, if you're broken biologically, that explains everything, doesn't it? On a fundamental, on a true level, intellectually. I'm broken too, right? That's the point, right? And so I live in my mind because that's all I have. You know, I'm just like him, you know, just like him. And so that's like where it's funny and stupid. And where I should have said, okay, dude, you earned me in the only place that, right? Just like him, in his way. I was just ugly. I was just ugly. I couldn't see anything beautiful. I couldn't see Mikey. I couldn't see like giving someone, you know, of like completing the film on other people's terms. Like you understand like what I'm saying right now, that I thought it was just him like wrestling. I don't know what I thought. I'm a sledgehammer, you know, like I have no periphery. But of course, it was the women. Of course, it's the beautiful things around him that like saw me singing, you know, like that they were like peeking their head out and saying, "You seem really great. I'd like to meet you." You know, as far as like Daniela. And I want that too. Why wouldn't I? Celestial goddess is really royalty, right? And so again, this isn't about control. This isn't about love, right? Even though that's what I want. Like I know that that's like what they all want, right? This is about me establishing a new psychological foundation, right? And so I have to recalibrate my understanding of how Hollywood sees me, right? Like I obviously accept that Quentin hates me, that he despises me, he never wants to see me, right? And so I just have to see that, right? See what the reason is, like see what it actually is, and so right. There is no other reason. That's the point, right? It's because of Mikey and Sydney that they're the main two, and Daniela. You know that he doesn't treat women good. That's the point, right? That film is a monument to his mistreatment of women, right? And because I didn't give him control over his mind, and the women wanted it, right? That he mistreated them this entire time, right? With the most sadistic evil that they could ever endure. He's so sick in his mind. He doesn't love anything, right? Because he hates the fact that he's broken. And so I would rather fight for them constantly and like make a fool of myself like 5 times a day, you know, like to know that I see something beautiful inside of this that is like right there, just out of reach, like between the two of us is Quentin's like psychic slime, you know, like all I have to do is like reach through it and like lay claim to the beautiful things. And so that's like what I'm trying to do right now. That's why I want to go to LA, right? Because it's like white magic, right? We bring the authorities, right? And we all just tell the truth. Like that's all. Like that's, you know, like that's the point. And for all that my therapist says, oh, you'll end up in the psychiatric hospital in California, right? Like that's obviously not true. That's obviously not true. Because if I was there with the LAPD and Mike Simpson and Ari Emanuel were right there in front of me, right? They're not gonna fight me. They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna say this man's a lunatic. He has no clue what he's talking about. They're gonna say they've been waiting on you for a long time, right? That they're gonna say no, please don't call the LAPD. Don't do that. We'll make sure that they get to you. It's enough. That's like, yes, that's what I'm saying, you know? That's Hollywood, you know, what a game, what a joke, you know? Because they know, you know, the police show up there, right? And it's a file, then it's like a file, you know? And it cascades all the way out. So, you know, consider buying me a ticket and just praying for them, you know, like helping them see that they are loved, they are valued by me. Not because Quentin's cool, but because they're cool. And they control me as a psychic. Quentin never can, but their beauty can, you know. So, God bless.